Welcome to another beautiful day on planet Earth and another day of Dose of Did You Know, where inspiring, intriguing, unique individuals come to talk about life and how it got them to where they are today. And with me is, I will not call you Sally. No, it is Madan. That is a personal private joke between us.
Yes.
No one else will know what that is, but how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful,
Oh, fantastic. And I have to tell you, we're talking about like my living, and I was blabbing on. This poor man had to sit here and listen to me jibber jabber before, but I love that he turned and put the camera on the Christmas tree, got the spirit going. It kind of makes me feel a little bit more jazzed up, if that's possible.
Yeah, it's a good looking tree, I think.
I think so. You did
if I'm going to say so myself.
You're going to share that. But before we get started, tell the world a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Yeah. I'm an ENT in Milwaukee. That's where I'm based. So ENT, ear, nose, and throat physician. I actually, started and currently CEO of a medical practice that really focuses on nose and throat issues. So we deal with folks who have, blocked up noses, sinus issues, allergy issues, sleep apnea, snoring, all those things. So those are nose and throat issues by definition. And we've termed it the breathing triangle. So if you think about the three holes in your head that you breathe through, that's what we do. That's what we fix. That's what we kind of help people live better through.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're talking, I'm thinking like, do some people not even know that they have an issue? Because I feel like maybe I have an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a long story, way too long for our segment here, but I'd say, honestly, most people that we help don't realize how bad they have had it until we fix their problem. Because if you've always been compromised, then you don't know what life is supposed to be like. Some people know they're compromised. Some people know, if you're snoring at night and you're stopping breathing at night, okay, you got a problem. But for, Sally and Joe, who are maybe just feeling a little, suboptimal, you don't really know. And, unfortunately, other than, my specialty is ENT, so those are the areas we deal with. If you go to a doctor that doesn't specialize in those areas, they're not going to be able to tell you if your nose is blocked up, or they just don't know. And it's not their fault. It's just not their area of expertise. But yeah, to answer your question, more folks that we help, don't recognize how big the problem is until we, get them on the other side of the equation.
So can you do it just like this might sound ignorant, and that's okay. I'm fine with sounding ignorant. Is that, can you just like go and be like, can you just give me a checkup in my triangle area? Do people do that? Or should they?
Yeah, usually it's because they think there's something not quite right. And let me go. I'm going to go a different angle on the same question.
Okay.
So there are folks who come in because they're snoring and they're maybe stopping breathing at night. And, obviously I shouldn't say obviously, that's a throat issue. So if you snore or if you have sleep apnea, that's coming from your throat, period. So we're going to look in that area, obviously. But the other area we're going to look at is in the nose. And for those folks most of those folks don't know that they have a nose issue. When we just simply look and, see what's going on there, more often than not, there's a nose issue combined with that throat issue. So I guess kind of to answer your question, most folks don't come in just sort of saying, hey, check me out. But most folks don't, it's hard to describe, but again, back to this concept of you don't know what you're missing. How can you tell me that thing? And so for us, we kind of just assume that if somebody's walking in our door, they're just looking for answers and looking for help, and that's our job. And so, if we're seeing something, it's our duty to explain it to you, let you understand it, let you understand what your options are, and then you figure out, well, we can walk through those options and deliver those options if it makes sense. But, once you understand kind of the situation, then it's really, you're in charge on what you want to do with your life.
Would you look at me if I was crazy and I just walked in and be like, just give me a checkup?
We never look at anybody like they're crazy, so it would never happen. But no.
Great answer. That was very politically correct. Good job.
Yes, indeed.
That's one of those pageant questions where they're like, if you could break any law, what would it be? Someone who's going to win a pageant never would break a law. See, that's a trick question. And I know that because when I was Mrs. New Hampshire, I got that question. I failed, but they looked fast.
You succeeded in the end, huh? That's good.
I said speeding.
Oh.
I was like, I'd speed. I like to get places fast. Well,
all right, everybody is guilty of that one.
everybody. So I love these conversations about, like, I never thought of like ears, nose, and throat. I don't snore. I don't have things, but you talk about sleeping better.
Mhm.
I suck at
Mhm.
sleeping. I used to be a fantastic sleeper. Like just put me down on the ground and I could nap hard for 20 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
not anymore. Like,
Right.
it's awful. So, see, this is why I'm thinking, like, I'm so glad we had this talk. So I had 2 nights of not sleeping.
Yes.
So what about, like, what makes you not sleep if you are, is this a sign if someone's having trouble sleeping that they should come see you? Because I'm thinking I might need to take a plane to Milwaukee.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Maybe. Although here, like where we focus on, so sleep issues are rampant. So many people throughout the world, but in this country especially, have sleep issues. They run the gamut. So, the gamut can go from insomnia, which is where somebody has a hard time falling asleep, or wakes up too early, sounding a little bit like what you're describing to me. That isn't so much in our wheelhouse, but the other part of that spectrum are folks who can't breathe properly when they sleep at night, and so sleep apnea is a term I talked about before, and I think many people have heard of it. Most people don't really know what that means. Sleep apnea is when you lay down to sleep at night and your throat shuts down and you can't breathe. Most people who have sleep apnea don't know that that's happening to them. And so when they lay down, they stop breathing. They may not know that that's happening. Their brain recognizes that, hey, buddy, when you lay down, we can't breathe. And so many folks who have sleep apnea have coexistent insomnia, for instance, because their bodies are. It's almost like it's not really PTSD, but it's basically your brain is not looking forward to getting
dying.
Yeah, exactly. Correct. And so anyway, for us, it's we sort of began at the beginning, which is I can guarantee you I can guarantee anybody how to give yourself the crummiest night imaginable, which is stuff your nose up, shove something in the back of your throat and have you try to lay down and sleep, and you're going to sleep miserably. So if that's going on for somebody, and it's usually not an external thing, it's usually internal, then that's what we focus on. And for folks who are dealing with that stuff, it is it's like a light switch gets flipped on, where all of a sudden, again, for many folks, it's been lifelong issues or long-standing issues. So it's gradually creeping up on you. You don't know the life that you left 10 years ago because you got this new crummy life. And so for us, it's focusing on those breathing issues, fixing those breathing issues, getting people back to the life that they're supposed to live. That's what we do. And it's an important step in the process. Most people don't think about it. Most people, really, it's not a typical part of any medical practice outside of our walls, and that's really why we focus on what we focus on, and why we're so passionate about it.
So I have a lot of my, and I don't know why this is, and maybe you know better, but a lot of my friends that are veterans have that sleep apnea, and they have all of these machines that they have to go on. And most of them just go to the VA and get this diagnosis. So is that something that you get people, do people have to stay on a machine, or is your hope is that eventually that they don't need these machines and you fix it?
It depends. The CPAP machine is what you're talking about. That machine is one tool that we use, and it can be a good tool. Unfortunately, it is more often used as a weapon against somebody than a tool for a solution. Meaning that if you go into the typical medical system and you're complaining of I'm snoring, I might be stopping breathing, then there's a 1-2 punch you're going to get, which is you're going to get a sleep study and you're going to get a CPAP machine, and that's the end of the story. That's not good. That's not cool. There's nothing good about that. And most people who get handed a CPAP machine don't end up using it, not because the machine can't work, it's because it's been used as a weapon against somebody. So what we do is, again, begin at the beginning and really understand, what's going on with somebody, why is it going on? Looking at their anatomy, figuring out, okay, why does this person have sleep apnea? If we do a sleep study, we can do it in your own bed at home. It's super easy to do. Get the information we need, put that information together, and then talk through a game plan. So to answer the question on the sleep apnea front, if you have sleep apnea, a CPAP machine is one option. Most folks who are good candidates for a CPAP machine could also use something called an oral appliance, which is like a retainer that you can wear when you're sleeping at night. That can work really
so much more convenient.
It's really low key. It works in the right folks, and most folks who have the choice between a CPAP machine and an oral appliance would choose the oral appliance. most folks aren't given the choice. And so part of what we do is give our patients the choice. And there's another pathway, which is basically we can do procedures in the back of the throat to open those areas up as well. So those, if you have sleep apnea, those 3 roads are the roads you could go down. Almost always, nobody's ever hearing about. Everybody hears about one road, and it's the CPAP road, which kind of gives it a bad rap. So we use CPAP as a tool for our patients, and it can work really well. The other aspect of all this, and hopefully this isn't too confusing, but any of those options, none of those options are going to work properly if your nose doesn't work properly. So if your nose doesn't work, you could put a CPAP machine on, an oral appliance. We could do surgery in your throat. It's not going to work very well, or not likely to work, because the start of your airway is your nose, and if your nose isn't open, then you can't breathe properly.
So see, I'm going to send this like clip. Listen to like 5 minutes to 10 minutes to so many people, because it just opened up my eyes. So something that always fascinates me is how people got to where they are. Like, when did you say, nose and throat and ears, sexy, going to do it?
Absolutely. Here, I think it's a long answer. I'm going to give you the short version. I think it's because I have had my share of ENT issues throughout my life. I broke my nose when I was 7, broke my nose when I was in college, had my nose fixed, had it fixed again, have allergy issues. You kind of run the gamut. So when you're going into medicine, I think in life in general, if there's stuff that you've dealt with or are dealing with, you tend to be more interested in it. And so when I was in med school, it was fascinating to me to kind of read about these things that I had experienced. And then that's probably the true answer, or one answer. Then the additional answer is, as a specialty, we're a surgical specialist. So I'm a surgeon, but we get to do surgery, we get to do medicine, we get to treat kids, we get to treat adults. We get to do the coolest surgeries in the world with all sorts of different techniques. We can use microscopes and endoscopes, and it's just the full gamut of things. Yeah. And then the final answer is, when you go through your medical training, just like the rest of life, you are, sort of the folks that you interact with can leave long shadows. And the physicians that I work with in med school who are ENTs were the kind of doctor I wanted to be. They were all men, so they were gentlemen. They were, they could talk to their patients in the right manner. They had excellent hands. All the things that I wanted to be as a physician. I saw it in those individuals, and I wanted to be that. So that's my final answer on that one.
That's a pretty cool path. I love to hear people's paths, because it makes you reflect on yourself. Like, I'm a relationship expert. Is that because I had so many crappy relationships? Yes.
Probably so.
And I was like, that's not what I want in life and for other people. So let's change it. Very, very, very cool. This is one thing. Before I get into my next thing, is that connection of breathing and like dental hygiene and mouth care. I did not realize like there was such a connection until I met someone, Judy, who made this whole like mouth thing, whatever. That's a whole other thing. I had no idea. Like, that is, so many things go wrong in this one area, not just like what you say, but actually what like comes in. So do you work, or do you recommend, like, tell me about that connection in your field?
Absolutely. It's a super crucial connection. So we work with dentists. We have dentists on staff. It's very collaborative. And it goes both ways. So for instance, most folks, almost everybody is a dentist they go to for routine care. And the dentist sort of lives on one side of the wall, and usually medicine or ENT folks live on the other side of the wall. But the issues that we're dealing with coexist. So if somebody, like for instance, if somebody's nose doesn't work, well, what are you going to do? You're going to drop your mouth open to breathe. What happens when you mouth breathe is that you increase your risk of cavities like through the roof.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people don't know that. And so if you go to your dentist, and if your dentist isn't necessarily aware of sort of this connection, they're happy to fill those cavities and deal with that. But boy, wouldn't it be nice to know the root cause of this cavity situation might be the fact that you're mouth breathing, and that goes back to your nose that's not working. And so anyway, if we can kind of just tear that wall down and say, hey, here's somebody who has issues, how can we best help this person? And so for instance, for somebody who's dealing with this cavity issues because they're mouth breathing, certainly address the cavities. But if there is a connection back to the breathing part of the equation, why don't we address that, fix that, and then maybe we'll both get rid of this cavity issue as well as truly help this person in the manner that they deserve to be helped. So yeah, it's absolutely connected. It's interconnected. And as I was saying before, for folks who have sleep apnea issues or snoring issues, there oftentimes will use, again, they look like retainers is what they are, but they're basically, something sitting in your mouth to help to kind of pull that lower jaw forward, open up your airway. But yeah, they're absolutely all interconnected.
You're just making it more like I need to just go get a checkup. Like I do, I go to the dentist to get a checkup. I go to, my physician, my yearly checkup. Well, why wouldn't I get that done? Because I don't know. I don't have a cavity issue, but I'm just thinking, I want to maximize my potential here on planet Earth. I've got enough crap.
What you just said, that's our why is we unlock potential. That's what we do as a medical practice. And so that's what we do. And I think, I think we're going to talk about 1 mile here in a second, but I'd say that is the connection there, because I think there is a commonality between what 1 mile is doing and what we're doing. And it is to, it is to at least some extent that concept of unlocking potential. And so for us, when we treat our patients, it doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. If you can't breathe properly and you don't have the right tools, then your life is compromised, period. It's most impactful in sleep, because sleep is a time of the day or night, obviously, where your body is really relying on proper breathing. The other part of that is if you are exercising, if you're an athlete or anybody who is doing anything strenuous as an athlete. I mean, now you can have high performance athletes and all sorts of things, but if you're doing anything activity wise and you can't breathe properly, you're not going to be able to do that properly. So I would kind of echo your question is I think it's a shame and a sin, especially for everybody, but especially folks who are athletes and who are trying to do their best. Nobody ever checks their airway. Nobody ever checks their noses, and those are the folks, especially folks who play, contact sports. Those are the folks who get banged around and whose noses are usually messed up on the inside. And, we see a lot of folks throughout their playing career, but some folks on the end of their career. And boy, man, it would have been nice if we had fixed that nose when you were in your prime time versus, in sunset in your athletic career. But long story short, more people could benefit from just understanding some of these concepts.
Yeah, it's, like, again, I was like, okay, didn't really know what I was getting into, but you opened up my mind. So I want to talk, how did you get involved with 1 mile? I mean, what was the first connection? And then what was that like clicking point? You kind of talked about it, but that you said, I can be of a benefit other than outside of these, 4 walls of my office. Like,
yeah, I think, the simple answer is we've got a physician assistant who's been with us for a while. She's also an athlete. She ran competitively in college and so forth, and she's part of 1 mile. So that really kind of opened the door that, hey, there's something going on. And so she mentioned it to me a couple of times, then connected me with Mike Campbell, and then kind of took it from there. And it really just started as that connection, conversation, recognition, realization, both ways, both like literally what Advent does can impact some of the folks that are sort of like participating in the Race Across America, for instance, those sorts of things. That's there. But then, and I think, and honestly, I don't know the answer. I've talked to Mike a few times about it, but I think 1 mile is just, I think it's just getting its legs underneath it. I don't, what I mean is I think there's sort of various angles that all connect back to something, whether there's sort of this military angle, and then there's this athletic angle, and then there's all these angles that are connecting back to something fundamental. And I guess I go back to that concept of unlocking potential. I feel like there's something there. And again, that's who we are. So I think there's something, there's common ground that we both, walk on. And, I certainly respect that mission. I think who I am and what I'm about is all about sort of empowering individuals, that individual drive, that drive against adversity. Those sorts of things are core to who I am. And so I think when I hear anything that echoes that, I'm all for that. And honestly, you don't hear that much in this day and age about something that you can actually be a part of. That's that. I think generally it's something that's external to you. So you look at that football team on Sunday and you say, they're great. The underdog is persevering. I'm going to root for that team. That's great. But to be part of a team that is collectively trying to move in that direction, that anybody who's like-minded can kind of be a part of that's special. And again, I'm thinking about it right now as I'm talking, but I don't know what else is really there like that. And so I think you guys are just getting started as far as that 1 mile.
Yeah.
I think the potential is unlimited.
Well, what I'm kind of love where you are plopped in, and when I'm listening is that there's the military side of it, there's the athletic side of it, and then like the CEOs and entrepreneurs and all of these forward-thinking individuals, right? Mm-hmm. But we always have these hidden, a lot of times they're hidden, or they could be like me, I just talk my trash out all the time, it's better to get it out. But that potential that is being blocked from things in our past or subconsciously these things. And I feel like you give actually the physical, right? So you have these groups that work together, that push each other, like the Race Across America, that is a physical kind of motivation of each other. But what about that internal side of it? What about that actual functionality of like not sleeping and not breathing and like all that medical side? And then you have the brain side of it of like, so I feel like you're just like, I always say God perfectly placed people in each other's lives for a reason. Sometimes it's a season.
Yeah.
But there's always a reason. I always like, people don't hold on to people that you shouldn't have there. They were supposed to come in and come out.
Right.
But you kind of have that a key to like that puzzle of all of these tentacles, but at the core of is really being the best that you can be and persevering and not getting stuck in our own habitual habits of ickiness. Not a very nice way to say it, but
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think not everybody, many people want to, most people want to live a better life, and a better life. What does that mean? It means all the things you just mentioned. It's not one thing. It's all of those things. And, at the end of the day, for me and my practice, we aren't about everything. We're about one specific aspect of that. As far as like, this is what we do, and we're very dialed into that. But then there's also, well, how do you do the thing that you do? And I think that back to whether you're an athlete or a CEO or whatever it is, the thing that you're doing, there is a sort of I think people respect the game and respect how somebody's playing that, and there's a commonality there, if that makes sense. And I guess for me and what I do, there's the literal medicine part of what I do, and then more broadly speaking, there's the running my practice and really trying to empower my employees to do the right thing, my leaders to lead, all those sorts of things. Those are common traits. Whether you're any well-functioning team is going to kind of come back to those same things. And does everybody have breathing triangle issues? No, they don't. But if you do, then you want to get that out of your way, and we can serve a purpose there. And then maybe we can do that in a manner where, how do you say this? The other thing I really firmly believe in is that, from a healthcare system, I think everybody agrees that it's broken from various aspects. But the thing that bugs me, the thing I think I can personally help to fix is there is an entitlement mentality within healthcare where if you're a patient, you walk into your physician's door or PA's door, there's almost this looking down on you kind of mindset, and that just needs to stop. And so for us, it's as important how we treat you medically as it is how we treat you as a person. And it goes both ways. When you're a person in the world and you're helping somebody and you're treating somebody else in the manner in which you want to be treated, you're making the world a better place. And so I think there's this, by the act of helping somebody, if you do that properly, you get benefit. It's that, what I'm saying? It's a selfless act, but it goes both ways, and it's really powerful.
Yeah. Well, it's like energy attracts like energy, and the ripple effect that comes from that. So it's whatever you put out, you're going to get back, and the ripple of that into your life is going to be that way. And when you talked about leaders, and we're running over, so I'm going to hurry this up really quick. When you talk about leadership is not forceful.
Sure.
No one is, so it's by who you are and how you act and a little of what you say, but mostly it's the action behind what you're saying. So I think just the part that you see this commonality and something that hits, you see the purpose and the benefit and it hits with you. And then you didn't just say, that's great, good luck. You put some action behind it, which is then in the ripple effect, whether you are helping one of the athletes or whatever, or giving knowledge like you gave me to put out there. That's how the world works in my mind and what I've seen, So I'm always like, if you don't like your life, you better look at what you are putting out there and how you're acting, because it's just the reflection of you, basically. So, okay. That was good stuff. Now, before I let you go, my last question to you is, in this moment right now, answer with the first thing that comes to your mind, no matter how wonky it might sound. Okay. What does love mean to you?
The first thing that comes to mind is giving. I'm going to stop there. Love is such a vast concept, but now I'm going to sound like a hippie, but love is everything. Love is it's sort of, it is the reason for being as a human being. I guess it's that.
Well, love is, I always say, imagine like a stream in water. It's constantly flowing and changing with the moment that you're in. It's not like one thing. That's why I say what's the first thing on your mind and heart in this moment, because that is where your state is right at this moment. 5 minutes from now, it could be a different word. You know what I mean? Because Absolutely. Because of the environment and whatnot. And that's why I love that question. So there is your answer in this moment. That's how you see love.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on, sharing a little bit about like what you do. You actually were very educational for me. So thank you. So now I can spread that. And then I love the collaboration and understanding why you got connected with 1 Mile. It gives me a better understanding, not just about 1 Mile, but about you as an individual. So thank you for everything that you are doing. And to everybody else out there, remember, as always, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time, we will see you. Bye-bye.